In this video, I'll be providing you with 5 tips that I personally would have found helpful this summer before starting PA school. So tip number 1 is to brush up on your anatomy. This will help you for the cadaver anatomy that you do in the first res block, and it's super accelerated, and you finish off with a bell ringer at the end of September. And with regards to the anatomy, try to focus on systemic anatomy, so the heart, lungs, abdominal organs, head and neck, as well as MSK associated with these areas. If you do have time, you can brush up on the MSK for extremities, so like the major muscle groups for flexion, extension, for the arms and legs, which could potentially come in handy later on in first semester. Number 2. Try to brush up on your knowledge on different conditions that are common amongst our population, as well as your medical history taking and physical examination skills. So to do this, just to start off with medical history taking, try to familiarize yourself with the different categories that you would address during a medical history. So you can start off with CC, which is chief complaint, HPI, which is history of presenting illness, and work your way through past medical history, family history, social history, medications, allergies, and etc. So try to familiarize yourself with that format, as well as find something that's comfortable, or something that you're comfortable with, because you're going to start seeing SPs in September itself. With regards to physical examination skills, you can just start watching videos on the respiratory exam, cardiovascular exam, neuro exam, different things like that. And sometimes it is going to be, or sometimes certain parts of the physical exam would be different to the checklist that you will be receiving as part of the clinical skills course, but it's good to get that exposure earlier on, so that it's not the first time looking at it, and you're able to kind of have that early exposure to kind of build up on throughout PA school. And lastly, different conditions that kind of came up repeatedly throughout the 3 semesters of first year in PA school include thyroid problems, so hypo and hyperthyroidism, metabolic syndrome, specifically focusing on diabetes mellitus, as well as hypertension, as well as obstructive lung diseases, so asthma and COPD, so kind of the difference between the two, as well as anemia and headaches. So for these, you want to kind of do background research. So 4 categories. So background information, you're kind of focusing on causes, the pathogenesis, the risk factors, and then signs and symptoms, you're thinking of the clinical presentation, as well as red flags. And then you're also looking at investigations to conduct based on the presenting symptoms and what your predicted kind of diagnosis is. And lastly, the management based on the different conditions. Number 3. Educate yourself about the PA profession. This comes in handy for the Intro to PA Role course, which for our year was 1 semester long. I believe that they're changing this in the future, don't quote me on it, but knowing about the PA profession through various resources, so CAPA is an excellent resource, as well as CanadianPA.ca. Those are 2 excellent resources to kind of learn about the regulation, funding, as well as various other topics, including history of PAs, specifically to Ontario, as well as Canada. Number 4. Connect and get to know your classmates. These are the people you're going to be spending a lot of time with during residential blocks, as well as communicating with online throughout the 2 years of PA school. You want to make sure you have a good relationship with them, because they're probably the only ones who are going to understand how rigorous this program is and can help you out. Getting a head start in building this relationship with your classmate is super important, because you hit the ground running from day one, and you want to make sure that you connect with the right people for social support, as well as even studying together, like people who have similar study techniques, because that makes it that much easier, or that much more manageable going through such a rigorous program. Number 5, lastly and most importantly, make sure you take time off before starting PA school. These next 2 years are going to be really wild, and you want to make sure that you do absolutely nothing before starting this program, because it's always go, go, go. You're going to hit the ground running, and there's always going to be something on your mind, even during those mini breaks you get throughout the program. And you want to make sure that you maintain this kind of work-life balance or school-life balance throughout PA school to make sure you don't burn out. It is a very intense program, and whether it's taking the time off to spend time with family and friends, or just doing something that's like completely not related to school. Personally, Insta kind of was my outlet where I try to document my journey, and that was kind of my distraction from school. And it's this school life balance that will motivate you to kind of continue throughout the program without burning yourself out. So make sure you make time to do that. Anyways, those are my 5 tips for the summer before starting PA school. Congrats again on getting into PA school, and I wish you all the best on your journey.